If you need to get or keep a 4-point descriptor at your next PIP review, it's best to prepare early. There are some things that you can do now to get ready and boost your chances of future success. This video contains some hints and tips that will help you to navigate the complexities of the PIP assessment criteria. I hope that you are not one of the claimants that loses out when the new government proposals come into force. The first tip is for current claimants. If you're already receiving PIP, you need to understand how many points you already have and why you got them. It's a good idea to look at your most recent PIP award letter to see if you already have 4 points on any one of the daily living descriptors. The thing is that you will be better able to either get more points or keep the ones you have if you know where you currently stand. If you find that you don't have a copy of your latest award, ring the DWP helpline and ask them to send you one. Watch the next part of the video though, because there's something else to ask for whilst you are on the phone. And here it is. Did you know that you can obtain a fuller and much more detailed account of the assessor's reasoning at your last assessment than the couple of paragraphs that are on the award letter? This tip is massively important. Information is power, and if you're armed early with a full understanding of exactly why your points were awarded, you are much more likely to be able to address any issues. That's why you need your copy of the full assessor's report. Ring the DWP helpline. It's called Form PA4. You need to read and understand what scores 4 points or more on the daily living descriptors. Let's look at a couple of examples of 4-point descriptors. For preparing food, the 4-point descriptor is E. Needs supervision or assistance to either prepare or cook a simple meal. For washing and bathing, the 4-point descriptor is F. Needs assistance to be able to wash and bathe your body between the shoulders and the waist. For toileting, needs assistance to be able to manage toilet needs. You have probably already noted that those descriptors that score 4 points or more require you to satisfy the assessor that you need the assistance of another person. Don't worry too much if you live alone. The points are awarded when you can demonstrate that you need the help, whether or not you actually get that help. So, when do you need help from another person? According to the Assessor's Handbook, you need help from another person when you cannot perform an activity reliably because 1. You cannot perform it safely. 2. You perform an activity too slowly. 3. You cannot do it well enough. 4. You cannot do it as often as you need. Let's look at some examples of each one of these four. The first one asks, can you do the activity safely? Can you safely lift a pan of boiling water? Does poor dexterity and grip make it unsafe to use a knife? Is there a risk of fire or flood? If you can't perform an activity safely, you can potentially win 4 points because you need the help of another person to prevent accidents. Are you too slow? Do you need the help of another person because you can't perform the activity fast enough? The assessor will judge that you perform an activity too slowly if it takes you more than twice as long as an able-bodied person. Do you need to take rests when dressing and undressing your upper body? Does a bad back or shoulders make it slow to wash your upper body in the bath or shower? Can you do it well enough? You must be able to perform the activity to an acceptable standard. Tell the assessor all about it if the final results of your efforts are not adequate. For example, does your health condition mean that you often burn food whilst cooking? Perhaps you forget that it's in the oven, or you don't hear the alarm. Can you clean yourself properly after you've used the toilet? Tell the assessor and give them some examples. Can you do the activity as often as you need to? In other words, can you perform the activity repeatedly? For example, maybe you can prepare a meal, but the exhaustion from doing so might mean that you cannot repeat that activity at subsequent meal times on the same day. If you can't prepare 3 meals a day, that may score 4 points because you cannot complete the activity repeatedly, and it is reasonable to expect somebody else to help you. Also consider, and this is important, does your health condition mean that you have to perform some activities more frequently than other people? For example, can you repeatedly use the toilet as often as you need to? Or does breathlessness, fatigue, or lack of motivation mean that you need the assistance of another person to do it as often as is required? If any one of these and others are applicable to you, you may potentially score 4 points on one daily living descriptor. Carefully explain everything to the assessor. Of course, it's all even better if you could provide evidence to back up what you say. Listen to the next tips. You will increase your chances of gaining a 4-point descriptor if you start building a strong evidence trail now. Here are some ideas to help you. Start a diary. Keeping a diary is one of the most important tools that all disability benefit claimants should be aware of. Assessors tend to more readily believe what's in a claimant's diary, and it's harder for assessors to ignore it, given that it's written down and before them. The diary isn't something that needs to be done every day. Just note down things that are relevant to how your condition affects you. For example, note any incidents or accidents that you have because of your disability. Make a note about how long it takes you to perform an activity. Describe how painful or uncomfortable performing an activity can be. I strongly recommend that you email the contents of your diary to yourself or to a friend. The thing is that emails contain a concrete date in which you wrote about the incident. And that means that you can build a robust evidence trail over a long period of time. And your friend can vouch that they received the email and that they were aware of the incident at the time. It's best to make sure that you can access your medical records online. It's free and it means that you have more control over exactly what information is sent to the DWP and the assessors. Don't rely on doctors' letters. Unfortunately, they tend to be disappointing and rarely support your case in the way that you might have wished they had. Once you have accessed your online medical records, print off any information that you believe will support your case. And finally, build your evidence trail over time. Don't leave it until the last minute. Evidence that is hastily cobbled together only after you receive an invitation to an assessment is not as robust. Make sure that you fully understand all the 4-point descriptors that might apply to you. Be sure that you know what point you scored at your last assessment and that you are ready to address any issues that may have prevented you from gaining a 4-point descriptor in the past. I wish you every success with your next PIP assessment.